Welcome to the Africa Tech Kin right here on ZiFM Stereo, your weekly guide to what's new, what's hot, what's next in the world of technology. I'm your host, Danny That Guy, and it is my pleasure to be with you right here on ZiFM Stereo straight after the news every Tuesday at 7 p.m. This week, we've got a big story, several big stories that we're going to be diving into. The first one, well, Zimbabwean data users are talking about something. Econet's product Smartbiz had a sudden change that's happened over the past couple of weeks that's left thousands of subscribers with some questions. We're going to dive into that. We're going to see, are some right for feeling shortchanged? We're going to unpack what happened. We're also going to look at a local solution to a national problem that has been developed by the ZETDC and its local subsidiary Powertel, as they are using high-tech monitoring systems to stop transformer thieves dead in their tracks. Also, ZIMRA is taking a big step, making trade easier for Zimbabwean businesses by introducing some certification digitally. In our regional story, we're going to take a look at Ghana and the announcement that Google has a massive AI move that has happened in the continent with a new hub out there in Ghana. We're also going to connect the dots and see how the second quarter earnings report that came through from Google tells us about the story of AI, and not only that, the Zimbabwean executive, high-ranking Zimbabwean executive at the very heart of Google's global AI strategy. A lot to talk about, a lot to unpack. Stay with us right here on ZiFM Stereo, straight after the news every week at 7 p.m. with your host, Danny That Guy. If you want to get in touch, by the way, the number is 0772-168-045. You can send a WhatsApp straight into the studio, or if you're watching this after the fact, if it's available on YouTube or you're listening to it on our podcast app, then you're very welcome to contribute by using the hashtag AfricaTechKin. That's K-I-N for kin, because as I often say, we're all a family, and technology is what connects us. So welcome to the Africa Tech Kin, and I hope you're going to have a good time with us as we discuss these stories. All right, let's get straight into it, shall we? Let's start off with this Econet Smartbiz controversy. So the word on the digital streets has often, in fact, this past couple of weeks has been very much about the Econet product Smartbiz. This was a product that was launched with so much promise. The idea behind the Smartbiz product was to create an unlimited business internet package that was available to those who are in SMEs, entrepreneurs, or perhaps business for themselves, and they want to be able to access internet or heavy data. It was a good value package, and it very quickly became popular. In fact, some estimates have it at over 100,000 subscribers to this package. Really a great idea. Unlimited internet solution for small to medium enterprises. But there was a little bit of a controversy that happened. You see, this package came with a fair usage policy. And this fair usage policy reduced the unlimited, which was realistically actually 1 terabyte of data, down to 200 gigabytes. Some people felt that this was a little bit unfair. They felt that it wasn't communicated right. And they felt that the new amount that was revealed in the fair usage policy didn't quite match up with what they expected from this package. Now, I did reach out to Econet. We're going to hear from them, and they'll explain to us, not in this show, but they're going to let us know in the upcoming shows exactly what the story is behind this fair usage policy. And I think we should take a moment to hold on before we jump to conclusions and see what is the explanation that's coming through from Econet. But what I can say is what some users have described. I've been scrolling through social media and I've come across several users' experience who have explained that they felt a little bit aggrieved about purchasing this particular package, getting to a stage where they wanted to use it and finding out halfway through the month that it wasn't what they expected. They found their speeds were throttled. They felt that it was almost unusable levels once they reached the cap that that had been put in this fair usage policy. And there were several people making public outcries. In fact, there's a public petition, several public petitions that are available online to try and reach out to Econet over this issue. Don't worry, I've reached out to them. I've explained what the situation is, and we're going to hear a response from them hopefully soon. But in the meantime, this does bring up a critical question about issues about understanding not only the packages we purchase and the services we purchase, but also from the side of the companies, building up that trust and that understanding with the consumers of said packages. You see, with digital products, sometimes it's very easy to make changes halfway through the month. Or is actually that what happened? According to Econet, this was all things that would have been mentioned in their fair usage policy. But where is the line in trying to make sure that the companies that are providing these services and the consumers who benefit from these services understand each other? How important is it to communicate some of these changes well in advance? And is it true that there was either misleading statements or perhaps there was some misunderstanding? We're going to unpack more of this as we go along. And really, the fact that over 100,000 subscribers really were using this service, according to some sources, well, that tells us that there's definitely something for us to look into over here. That's a highly subscribed business package from Econet. Now, just to give a little bit of context, the truth of the matter is any internet service provider is going to have a fair usage policy. Even if they promise unlimited internet, there's going to have to be a fair usage policy. It's not just true of internet service providers. Just this week, Anthropic came through. Anthropic is the company behind the very popular AI tool Claude. And they mentioned that some of their unlimited users, who, by the way, pay $200 a month to access this package, were abusing the unlimited system. So they were going to have to implement some fair usage policies. It's no different for Econet or any other ISP. So the question here is not about whether a fair usage policy should exist. It will exist. That's just how it works. It's not possible to give absolutely unlimited. There will always be a few ultra heavy users that would end up degrading network performance. So they have to put in place these fair usage policies. However, the controversy comes in with regards to communicating, transparency, and trust. So we're going to give Econet an opportunity to show that they care about their customers. We're going to reach out to them and we're going to find out the answers. Because unlimited is a marketing tool. People say unlimited, but anyone who does understand the world of ISPs understands that unlimited doesn't really mean completely infinite unlimited. So there is an understanding that as much as unlimited is used in marketing, there should be some transparency or communication. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this story unfolds. We're going to be paying attention to some of these petitions that have been put online. And we're also going to hear from Econet themselves. They did reach out back to me and they let me know that they were preparing a statement. So we'll have it right here on the Africa Tech Kin exclusively as we reveal the story about the Econet Smartbiz Fair Usage Policy controversy. Interesting story, one we will be paying very close attention to. Let's move on to power woes from Data Woes. Let's take a look at the country's electricity supplier, ZETDC. Many people commonly refer to it as ZESA. ZETDC have promised a new tech-driven solution to one of their underlying problems that they've had for a long time. We all know how damaging and disruptive vandalism is to transformers. Many of us in many of our neighborhoods that we live in might be familiar with long-term power cuts because the transformer in the area was vandalized. Or perhaps there was some cable stolen or some transformer oil was stolen or any other kind of vandalism. It really causes for a lot of difficulty and disruption when it comes to power generation. Well, this constant theft of transformer components, theft of oil, theft of cables has led to blackouts more than can be expected from load shedding. It's led to huge replacement costs for the power utility. So they've rolled out a smart monitoring system for the 47,000 transformers that power the grid nationwide. What do we mean by a smart monitoring system? Well, are you familiar with IoT? IoT stands for Internet of Things. Basically, we're talking about sensors that are connected to the internet and that are able to use real-time alerts from each location sent to command centers to let us know, or rather to let the power utility know whenever there's been any tampering, vandalism, or anything that seems to be out of place. There'll be sensors, cameras connected to a real-time alert system that is managed from central locations at the command centers. This works as a digital shield. So if you had any plans of doing any vandalism at any of the Powertel or ZETDC, or as some people say, ZESA transformers nationwide, well, you might be in for a very nasty surprise as they've put in place this particular system. Now, I also did reach out to Powertel and they're very happy to tell us more about this particular system. I look forward to hearing some details from them. But the story is that these sensors are going to trigger alarms. And back at the command center, they'll know exactly which place is being vandalized, and they'll be able to deploy some countermeasures at those particular transformers. 47,000 transformers nationwide is not a small feat. It's not a small project. So this is a pretty good initiative, I think we can say, a proactive approach, preventative approach to try and reduce the operational costs and hopefully to keep the uptime of our electricity supply to the maximum levels that it can be given the infrastructure that we have. We'll be paying close attention again to how this impacts electricity generation within the country, and we'll also be seeing how it's implemented and how it goes forth. But it was very nice to see the announcement come out this week that Powertel and ZETDC will be collaborating on putting forward this technology to use. I must say, this is very exciting also as someone who's a tech enthusiast, and maybe you are also a tech enthusiast, to hear that we can use technology to make our systems more robust. We can use some of these new tools like IoT or Internet of Things to make sure that our infrastructure is stable, it reduces costs, and ultimately it's good for all of us. We'll be paying attention to the story as we go along more as well. All right. This is the Africa Tech Kin right here on ZiFM Stereo. We've had some great stories so far, but let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue talking about some of what's happening in the region and internationally, and some more local stories. Stick around. My name is Danny That Guy right here on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station. Welcome back to the Africa Tech Kin right here on ZiFM Stereo, my station, your station. My name is Danny That Guy. I'm your host and your guide through the complicated jungle of technology, not only locally, but regionally and globally. We've had some great conversations so far about Econet and ZETDC and Powertel, as well as their forays into the worlds of technology. Econet, of course, is going to be a mainstay of this show. That's one of the biggest technology companies in the country. So we'll talk about them a lot, and we'll be paying attention to both the good things and some of the questionable things that may come out, and we'll try and see if we can get to the bottom of many different stories. In the meantime, let's expand our scope a little bit, and let's take a look into the regional scene. We're expanding from just the local scene, continental and even global stage. Now, Google obviously is one of the biggest companies in the world, not just tech companies, but companies overall. They're making waves with AI. If you've ever used any of Google's tools, including Gemini, Imagine, or VO3, which is the latest AI video generation tool, then you'll be aware that Google is making huge strides in the world of AI. Well, this story actually is very interesting because it's got a Zimbabwean connected to it as well. So first of all, we'll start out with the continental story. Now, Google announced that they're opening their first AI community hub in Africa. It's going to be in Accra, Ghana, a space for training, research, and building. In fact, they're committing $37 million into building AI development here in Africa. So it starts out there in Ghana. And the man behind this is none other than Dr. James Manyika, a Zimbabwean Rhodes Scholar, brilliant mind, who works as a senior VP for Google in the realm of research, technology, and society. And one of his major issues that he is dealing with is obviously the deployment of AI. So it's very interesting to see that we've got our Zimbabwean man out in the heart of Google, who's already pointing some of the lenses that are coming through from these global powerhouse organizations into Africa. We hope soon, using his influence and maybe some memory of his hometown, he'll be pointing his direction here in Zimbabwe. I'm also going to be doing my best to reach out to him. It would be a dream to have Dr. James Manyika on this show. And we can talk a little bit more about what Google's plans are for the future when it comes to building AI. Now, this week from Google, they also released, this past week rather, they released their Q2 earnings. Now, these are often I'm not paying attention necessarily to the money that comes out of it, but I find it interesting because it gives us a little bit of an indication of where we stand overall. So the Q2 earnings that came out really showed just how many people are using AI tools. They announced that they crossed over 100 million active users of Google's AI tools, which is a milestone that ChatGPT had reached before. This is not including the automated tools that come through Google Search. They said they had 2 billion users of those particular tools. So it's been very interesting to follow along with some of those results. Money-wise, Google is making a lot of money. I think we can close it at that. So it's very interesting that Google's making tons of money. They're investing tons of money in AI, and the man at the heart of it is a Zimbabwean, Dr. James Manyika, as he continues to help drive the strategy for Google. We'll be looking forward to see how this benefits Zimbabwe and Africa as a whole. And we want to get to the stage where here back home, we're not just consumers. We're not just subscribing to American technologies. Perhaps we too have an opportunity to develop some of our own technologies and actually enter into the world race when it comes to AI. We need our own AI hubs, not just on the continent in Ghana, but here in Zimbabwe, so that we too can be part of the conversation and not just consumers. And we have the talent, as proved by Dr. James Manyika. We've got the innovators, we've got the students, developers, and so on, who can come up with the solutions that we need. So we'll be paying close attention. And we'll be noting that 37 million that's being invested in Ghana. We hope to see even more coming through here to Zimbabwe. We continue with our stories right here on the Africa Tech Kin as we take a look at global, local, regional stories when it comes to technology. Here's an interesting one that came through from Zimbabwe, and I thought I'd briefly mention it. ZIMRA announced that they had digitized the process for getting COMESA Certificates of Origin. Now, if you're unfamiliar what this is, maybe it doesn't mean much to you, but for anyone who is involved in business and actually involved in exporting, they are familiar with getting that COMESA Certificate of Origin. And it has previously proved to be quite a cumbersome process. Well, ZIMRA has announced that they'll be able to use the Zimbabwe Electronic Single Window, or the ZESA, as they have announced it, to be able to apply for and receive your COMESA Certificate of Origin, and that make it easier for you to prove that your goods originate from Zimbabwe or whatever country that they originate from, and then you're able to qualify for preferential tariff treatment under the trade agreement that is COMESA, the COMESA Free Trade Area Agreement. So this is an excellent advancement in our local organizations like ZIMRA integrating digital tools. These things don't have to be done manually, and the fact that a digital tool has been introduced to be able to apply for and receive the COMESA Certificate of Origin is excellent news. We hope that we will see more of these initiatives across different departments and government departments and organizations here in Zimbabwe that will be able to apply for, receive all these different types of certifications and paperwork that we need digitally. It's about time. The rest of the world is doing it, and I'm glad to see that ZIMRA has moved forward in this way. Another quick story. This one is international. I found it to be a very interesting one. Have you heard of the T app? Perhaps you haven't. Let me briefly give you the idea behind it. So someone in the United States developed a women-only app that was for sharing tea. For the older ones in here, the idea was you'd be able to share gossip or information, warnings about men. This quickly became extremely popular. It rose to the top of all the app charts out there in the US and several other countries as well. And the idea behind it was women can download this app. You have to upload your driver's license so that you could confirm that you actually are a woman, as well as a selfie. And once you did that, you were then able to share this information, search for different men. If you met someone, for example, and you want to find out more about them, you start searching for them in this T app. If they are mentioned there, you can learn about who they cheated on or who they dumped or whatever the case is. Sounds like a privacy nightmare? Well, it turns out it was, because not very long after this app was hacked, and tens of thousands of records for women who had uploaded their driver's licenses and photos were hacked and compromised because of this. This caused a huge issue, and it led to conversations really about just how safe is it to just make an app. Just make an app. Well, some people believe that this app was vibe coded. If you're unfamiliar with what vibe coding is, the idea is you just use AI to help yourself make an app, and then now you have this app. But without a deep understanding of how app development works, you could leave yourself exposed because how are you going to include security in there if you didn't really know how it was done? Perhaps it was vibe coded. We don't know for sure. The information is not out yet, as this all is a developing story. But it was a very interesting story and a cautionary tale about why it's important, if you are going to be a developer or you're a software developer, don't just rely fully on AI, but be aware of concepts like security by design, especially if you are handling sensitive information like user data, driver's licenses, people's information, and so on. Plus, at the same time, very distasteful premise for an app, in my opinion. But yeah, that was an interesting story that came out this week. And if you're interested in following that story as well, please just search the T app. We'll talk about this more as well on our social media platforms. Okay. That pretty much wraps up our Africa Tech Kin show for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed some of the stories we discussed. We will be following up on some of these stories as they are developing stories. I look forward to hearing from Econet about the Smartbiz controversy. I look forward to hearing from Powertel about how they will be implementing this new IoT defense system for their transformers nationwide. And of course, we're looking forward to more tech news. Make sure you make a date for next Tuesday, straight after the news at 7 p.m. If you missed part of the show, or if you want to watch this show live, or rather video of this show, you can look for it on YouTube, the Africa Tech Kin on ZiFM Stereo's channel. Make sure you subscribe to ZiFM Stereo on YouTube. We'll also have clips on our social media pages. Just search for ZiFM Stereo on everything. You can also listen to this via podcast. If you have a podcasting app, just search for ZiFM Stereo. You'll find current affairs on there, and you can subscribe to it and get this show as soon as it's ready, shortly afterwards. It's been a pleasure. We've learned a lot. What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please use the hashtag AfricaTechKin. That's KIN, because as I often say, we're a family and technology is what connects us. We are keen to hear what are your thoughts on the Econet fair usage policy. What about your thoughts on using IoT or the Internet of Things to protect our assets, our country's infrastructure? Do you see a future for AI-powered business solutions in Africa? Well, it should be interesting to hear your thoughts on this one. I'll be back again next week, right here on ZiFM Stereo. My name is Danny That Guy. Thank you very much for tuning in. Don't go anywhere. ZiFM Stereo Current Affairs continues right here on my station, your station. And we look forward to the rest of the talk shows this evening. Just a reminder, we're all family. Technology is what connects us. This has been the Africa Tech Kin. We'll catch you again next week. Bye-bye.
Tune in next time for Africa Tech Kin on ZiFM Stereo, discussing all things tech.